There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
There we go. Monday, July 8th. A lot of boxing to talk about. Welcome to One Round with George. Hope everyone had a good 4th. Can't believe it's July 8th. Had a lot of action. A lot of people talking over the weekend. A lot of lightweight action. My man from New Jersey, Shakur Stevenson, was in action defending his title. Keyshawn Davis on the undercard in a tough fight. William Zepeda, another top lightweight, the top lightweight, ranked number 1, was in action. And Shakur Foster in what I thought was a highway robbery. We'll talk about that. Got some comments, man. It's always good to have people in. The Keggy says, have a great stream later. Jay Rich, my man. James S. I'm so mad I had Foster on the money line. You know something? You should be mad because that's the first thing I really want to talk about. A lot to talk about indeed. I'm going to say cheers from California where it's 4:02. Cheers to you. Make sure you subscribe. Jay Rich, man, before they fought, I had Conceição by decision plus 290 discussing scorecards, but my parlay, thanks the judges. Yes, Keggy, thank you for reminding me the star of the night. Maybe Zepeda was just because he's ranked number 1, but the guy that you watch, Abdullah Mason, man, you just want to see him fight again and again and again. The guy's only 20 years old. 20 years old, 14-0, 12 knockouts, a southpaw. The guy just looks amazing. But we just have to see him fight the fights. They need to take their time with him. Oman Mason just looked fantastic. The young man is ahead of his time, but let's not rush him. I fully believe these guys need to take their time, but not take too much time. But first things first, and I'm going to get the link out here. I want to read off a couple of names. Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace. You may not know who they are, but they are 2 judges who scored the fight between Foster and Conceição for Conceição. Tony Lundy scored at 116-112. Paul Wallace scored at 115-113. Remember those names because I thought that it was highway robbery. And, of course, Bob Arum doesn't think so. He thought it was a close fight. I didn't see anything close about it. I don't know if anyone maybe I'm in the minority, but if anybody thought that fight, if anybody thought Conceição won the fight, please make yourself known. Because Jay Rich says one of those judges had Conceição winning 6 consecutive rounds. Nasty, nasty, nasty. Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace. Those are the 2 judges that scored it for Conceição. You bring up these judges and there's no accountability and nothing will be done. They'll continue to work, but maybe if people don't forget and people complain about the names, just like a judge from Mexico, Javier Camacho, who scored the fight between Bam Rodriguez and Estrada, had Estrada up 57-56. So Tony Lundy has had 697 fights, Paul Wallace over 700. I looked at Tony Lundy's record. It looks like he has a lot of 4-rounders, a lot of 8-rounders. Paul Wallace, I believe he was one of the judges in the Lamont Roach fight. But it's sad for Shakur Foster. It really is, because to get your title taken away from you, to get it stolen from you, and you have no recourse. So yeah, I was shocked. Tim Cheatham, I love that name, and it's a perfect name. Would be proud for sure. James S. says, hey, that was insane when they read off them scorecards. It was, but unfortunately, it's boxing and you can do nothing. I hope that there was a rematch clause. They didn't really say anything about that, but Shakur Foster, hopefully he gets the rematch because I feel like he was just robbed. My man Levi, those 2 judges crushed Foster's hopes and dreams on live television like it was fine. What a robbery. Goes to show the only way to win now, really nowadays, is a knockout, and it really is. James S. says, on a better note, I had Garcia on the money line. That hit. Well, that's That's good. That's good. Um, yeah, you. I don't know what to say. I feel for Oshaki and Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace are the two judges that took his title away. I really don't know what fight they were watching, and I haven't run into anyone that that had Conceição winning. SB got beats, my man. What's going on, brother? So it's one of those things that the guy gets his title taken, and Levi's right. The only way to be sure is by knockout. But what if you don't get the knockout? What if you dominate and you have to rely on judges? So I read off three names: Tony Lundy, Paul Wallace, and Javier Camacho. In recent fights, those are judges who should at least be called out and say why they scored the way they scored. I need to talk to Randy Gordon, who's a former athletic commissioner of New York. I'd just be curious what his take is, because I believe I'll have to ask him what they do with judges with questionable fights. Although this was a New Jersey fight, so I would ask him. But it was a New Jersey fight. It was in Newark, so Larry Hazard is the man. It's a shame Conceição was robbed, and Abdullah Mason was definitely one of the stars of the night. William Zepeda did what he was supposed to do. Knocked out Giovanni Cabrera, knocked him out in 3. And then my man Shakur Stevenson fought. Shakur, I thought, won every round in that fight. He did not get the knockout. I thought he won easily, but people want fighters to be sensational every single time out. I think that he is the best lightweight in the world. I don't know who would win between him and Tank, but that's the fight we want to see. He just is not a knockout fighter. In fact, this is, let me see if I have it. Is this it? No, that's not it. So I want to go to the post-fight press conference. All right, here it is. So this was Shakur in the post-fight presser, asked about the fight and his future.
If a okay fighter know how to survive, then and that's their objective, then sometimes it's hard to get them out of it. I mean, I did what I could do. I came in there, I put punishment on them. Sometimes I was beating him up. Then, like I said, get on his bike, you know how to grab me and hold me, look at the ref, he do little tricky stuff to keep himself from being shot. Yeah, I was breaking him down, but like I said, he's still tough. And you could tell he was a better shot than I expected him to be. So he'll fight back and just do a little bit to keep me from getting stopped.
Bob is saving his son from this ass. Talk to me about that the statement you trying to make with that shirt. Talk to me about the statement you trying to make with that shirt.
I mean, I'm just telling it like it is, but like I said, at the end of the day, I'm a boxer. I love to box. If I can't get these fights, I can't get these fights. I'm cool with it. I'm happy. I'm making millions of dollars. My family good. I'm about to go home, my family, chill out, play the game, relax a little bit, and just enjoy. I can't force these fights to happen if these guys don't want to fight me. I don't know what I'm willing to do. I got to sit at the table and find out. I don't know. I got to go back to the drawing board and see what I want to do. I say like a C+. Like I said, it come with it when guys come in here and they say, I want to survive, I want to make sure I make it to round 12. Sometimes it's hard to get these guys out, especially at the top level. Me and Tank Davis, I want to fight the guys that's going to come to try to fight me, to try to win, to make sure they got stuff to lose too, just like me. My guys that want to just come here and just be a part of the show.
So that was Shakur after the fight. Keggy, I expected that. I mean, Cabrera's tough, but I thought he was going to be sensational. I also thought Shakur was going to be sensational. SP got beats. I think Loma's footwork would really stress him out after seeing this fight. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. Shakur was on a rampage after the fight. Next thing, yeah. Well, that's just the world. And he made fun of his name being Twitterson. He really, I had to stop because I just had to stop. He was just all over Twitter, like all these fighters are. Like Ryan Garcia still is. If he thinks Artem got tricks, Loma got a Santa Claus bag full. Well, saludos Arnaldo Nieves. Appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe. What do you think about Shakur saying this guy just survived? He did all he could to survive. And he said if guys want to survive, they're going to survive. He's also, Shakur's very honest, I feel. He gave himself a C+. And I think that's what a lot of people gave him if you're going to grade him. I thought he dominated. Would have liked to see him let his hands go more, but he's just not that type of fighter. But does it really matter? I mean, he's not Gotti. You know, somebody, a friend of mine sent me something that they read. Someone said, all fighters nowadays want to be Floyd Money Mayweather without going through the pretty boy Floyd part. Remember when Floyd was pretty boy and he was beating people up at 130, 135, 140. He was beating people up. Then he moved up. Then he became Money Mayweather, and then his style, those guys were bigger and his style changed. So whoever, I don't know who said that, but it's a good quote. And I'm not saying Shakur is, but Shakur was also honest. He said it was a 5-fight, $15 million deal that he turned down from Top Rank. And by the way, he could re-sign with Top Rank. He could, but something dirty about the boxing is just dirty. I do know that Top Rank did not want to spend any money on marketing for this fight. Usually ESPN, and it has to do with the opponent too, but ESPN, they usually do some shoulder programming. And I've been a part of a lot of that. They didn't want to do that for this one because they knew that chances were they wouldn't, that Shakur was going to leave. But the fact that they had ESPN showing shots of people leaving while the fight was still going on, that's dirty. You know, if he was signed with Top Rank, they wouldn't have done that. But that's just the dirtiness. It's just the dirtiness of the sport. And you have to, it's how it is. James S. says that dude sits in the pocket, just scores off of counters. He's not willing to take any chances. Well, you take a chance every time you get in the ring. But I want to see him fight that style against Tank, against everybody at 135. Really, Tank and Loma are the two fights I want to see him fight at 135. Tank, Loma. I think Abdullah Mason needs some seasoning. Even throwing Zepeda, since Oscar's got him ranked #1 in all the organizations, they know how to play ball. So those are the three fights I would love to see for Shakur. First one is Tank, then Loma, and then Zepeda. Zepeda's #1. So those are the fights I really want to see. The ring tells the truth most of the time, and we just want to see the best fight the best. Jay Rich, I thought Shakur should have got him out of there around 7-9. That's on Shakur though, not Artem. I agree. The feeling was around that 8th round, like he was starting to break him down. He was starting to hurt him. And then he just didn't put his foot on the gas. I do think that Shakur gave himself a C+, okay? But I don't think the guy was just trying to survive. I think Shakur, and I don't really look at punch stats, but I think Shakur just did not put his foot on the gas and did not make an effort to get him out of there. But he dominated the fight. He dominated the fight. What he didn't do was have a sensational win that everyone's talking about. SB got beats, especially when he comes out of the clinch. He'll catch you off the breakup. The Keggy says Shakur just got to accept who he is. He's not going to be a fan-pleasing fighter. Well, I think he has, right? And ESPN kept talking about how Shakur said he doesn't care about exciting the fans. I'm sure he said it. If he had the bite, I would put it on him on here. If he believes that, then that's what it is. He's not looking to put on breathtaking performances. If they come, they come. But he's not going out of his way to do it. He just isn't. That's the kind of fighter he is. But thus far, he's dominated everybody. Everybody he's been in the ring with. He's upset that he didn't have a better opponent for this fight. And he blamed it on Top Rank. And Top Rank, maybe they knew this was their last fight with him. and they didn't want to give him a big name opponent. The business of the sport is dirty. They're all, they all play the same game. They all play the same game. Guarantee you again, if Shakur had signed a contract, an extension with Top Rank, they wouldn't have shown people walking out of the arena while the fight was going on. They wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have done that. He's more my fighter, either love or hate him. A lot of the casuals love the Gotti Ward fights. Everybody loves an exciting fight like that. Matthew Saad Muhammad, the blood and guts warriors. But there are technicians. Sweet Pea Whitaker, Pernell Whitaker, who's one of my favorite fighters, was called boring all the time. The guy was just ultimately skilled. Then you had a guy like Meldrick Taylor, who had the physical gifts to be an untouchable fighter. He was a Philly fighter. He went to war with people, and he paid a price. He lost fights he shouldn't have lost, and he paid a price physically. If you don't have that kind of style, you shouldn't fight those fights. Now, James, let them hands go. I agree. I agree. As a fan, you wish he would let his hands go because he was accurate, but he did dominate the fight. Artem being on the move is an understandable reason, but it's a weird one to hear from Shakur because that's what everyone says about him. Yeah. George Eor, disagree. Artem tried, but Kerr is too good. He took some shots because he was trying to get the KO. I hope he doesn't do that anymore and sticks to what he does best. He will. He's a smart fighter. I'm not sure what you disagree with, George Eor, but I didn't think that Artem ran at the end. I think that Shakur just didn't really press because he doesn't fight like that. Yep, Arturo Gatti, my goodness. Everybody loves those fights. The bridge is burned, unfortunately, it seems. Shakur showing Bud falling asleep was the icing on the cake. Was that real? Like, I saw that. Well, he wasn't falling asleep. And by the way, Shakur and Andre Ward, Bud and Andre Ward walked Shakur to the ring, which is cool again. But he was going to get ripped if he didn't destroy the guy, if he didn't knock him down 3 or 4 times, stop him or decision him after knocking him down 3 or 4 times. And that's okay. I mean, if you want to fault him for not being the most exciting fighter in the world, he's one of the best fighters in the world. And it is boxing. It is entertainment too, but he feels like you get the win, you come home to your family, and you move on to the next one. So this is going to be debated. I still think that he can be the best lightweight in the world. Let's have the fights. And people could have doubts. They think Loma's footwork might give him trouble. They think that Tang's power might give him trouble. That's fine. I'm not going to debate that. Let's see them fight. Then we can have a debate. Let's have them sign. Arnaldo, he did dominate the fight. Great skills. He stayed most of the fight in the pocket, but the killer instinct was lacking. Unfortunately, yes. My man, Matt, hey, you made it. What's up, brother? What's up, Matt? Nasty work. Or what do you think of Keyshawn? Keyshawn, that was a tough fight, man, with Miguel Medueno. Medueno's just a rough, tough veteran. It was a nasty, dirty fight. Medueno tried everything to get Keyshawn out of his game. And for the most part, Keyshawn held his composure. I mean, he was giving it right back, which that's what you have to do. Don't complain to the ref. Somebody does you dirty, you do them dirty. They hit you low, you hit them low. So I was impressed that he didn't get rattled, that he stayed in his game, and he dominated the fight. It wasn't a sensational fight, but he fought a tough guy who wasn't going anywhere. And again, he did all he could. So Keyshawn Davis, I thought it was a great matchup for him because you got to fight guys like that, the rough, tough, nasty guys that won't get knocked out. And it was ugly. The fight was ugly. I wish maybe instead of retaliating with the physical stuff, he would have hit him more, but he didn't. He dominated the fight. I thought it was a good showing for Keyshawn. Maybe he gets Baranchek next. Who knows? But he's getting closer to a title shot. and I thought he looked good. It was a good night of boxing. I thought, except for the judges in the Foster fight. He always shines. The Kegi Keyshawn versus Shakur would be good, but will never happen. Yes, they said they will never fight. Matthew, we shouldn't say a fighter should get someone out of there in a certain amount of time. We can't do the same job. Well, but fans, it's funny. They think they dictate the show and they say what should happen. People say that because that's what they want to happen. You're right. They're not in the ring. I think that every fighter should fight their style. The only way they should switch up their styles is if it isn't working. Like Floyd Mayweather could switch up his style if it wasn't working. Shane Mosley could switch up his style if it wasn't working. Felix Trinidad could not. If he didn't get you out of there with the pressure and the left hooks, he could be beat. Winky Wright did it with a jab, and Bernard Hopkins did it. He just couldn't change his plan. And usually his plan was good enough. It was good enough to win. But when it wasn't, he couldn't change up his plan. Smash the like button. Yeah, make sure you smash that like button. Let's get some more people in here. Stevenson gets the same type of disparaging comments that were made about Andre Ward. That's just how it is. And again, one of my favorite fighters was Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, and people said that all the time about him. It's just a lot of people do not appreciate the skills of fighters. Some people think it's all about entertainment. The fighters tell you it's about the win. It's about the win and entertainment, but it's about the win. Levi Sullivan, Shakur's the kind of fighter who gets his KOs through an accumulation of damage. If he do some more combinations, he could have gotten Artem out of there. I think he could have, but maybe he felt that he couldn't. Maybe he felt that Artem was going to be there, so he'll just coast and win an easy decision. What he is not prepared to do is take a tremendous amount of brain damage for the fans' entertainment. How's he wrong? I don't think he's wrong, Matthew. I'm with you. I don't think that fighters should fight the way fans want them to fight because they're not in the ring. And you brought up the brain damage, and I brought up Meldrick Taylor. Meldrick Taylor was fast. He was slick. He had good power. He had all the intangibles, all the skills that you want in a fighter. He was an Olympic gold medalist at 17, I believe. He was one of the members of the 1984 Olympic team. Sensational fighter, and was seconds away from beating Julio Cesar Chavez before that fight was stopped. But he was a Philly fighter, and if you don't know what Philly fighters at least used to do, they were notorious for the gym wars. And that's how he was brought up, and that's how he fought. He didn't use his boxing ability enough. He didn't use his speed enough. He liked to go to war, and it cost him. It not only cost him fights, it cost him his health. There's a show that I worked on years ago, Legendary Nights on HBO. And one of the episodes was Taylor versus Camacho, Taylor versus Chavez. And you should watch that fight because this is 20 years ago, and Meldrick Taylor could barely talk. He was still fighting. I haven't seen Meldrick Taylor on social media, thank God, or YouTube. He's still alive, and I thank God for that. But he's paid a terrible price for the style that he fought. And all these fans that complain about people should go to war. If you talk to fighters and you could hear it in their voice that their voice has changed from when you talked to them 5 years ago. There are fighters fighting now who I can tell when I talk to them, something is going on. So I'm not a doctor, but I can tell that their speech pattern has changed. And it's because of the punishment that they took in the ring. So anyway, enough of that. SB got beats. He has to be matched with Pitbull Cruz type fighters to come forward because he's really a back foot fighter. Yeah, it's too bad Pitbull moved up because that's another matchup. Shakur says he needs to be in against great fighters, and you'll see how great he is, and we'll see. Think about it. The fights that fans love the most are the fights that have done the most damage to their fighters, of course. Funny thing, if you ever go back and watch Leonard Hearns 1, now everybody talks about that as a legendary fight, and it was. The ebb and flow, I mean, it was Hearns boxing. Leonard, it was Hearns stalking early, and Leonard trying to be the boxer, and then Leonard hurt him in the middle rounds. He became the slugger. Hearns became the boxer, and then Sugar Ray had the magnificent comeback at the end. But if you watch that fight again, I think it was the second or third round, the fans are booing. At Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas, outdoor arena, they were booing because two of the best fighters in the world were literally feeling each other out in boxing and seeing it. If I feint, what are you going to do? If I jab, what are you going to do? Are you blocking? Are you moving your head? These guys were trying to figure each other out, and people booed because it wasn't a war, because it wasn't a Hagler Hearns. Fans can boo. Fans can boo. You pay your money, you want to boo. But I don't want to call people casuals who do that, but you just don't know what you're looking for. Nobody who knows boxing thought Shakur was going to go and knock the guy out. I thought he was going to I did think he was going to look sensational. I didn't think it was going to be a one-punch knockout. I thought he was going to look better than he did, especially with the pressure of being a free agent. But Shakur he does what he does. He does what he does. SB Gots beats. It's crazy that he asked Artem about doing sit-ups like he planned on stopping him with body shots, and he didn't. Yeah. Well, Matthew, people complain. That's most. Think about it. Most YouTube boxing shows you watch, it's a lot of them are embroiled in negativity. Not all, but people are still talking about Ryan Garcia, and I won't do it. I guarantee you, if I put a Ryan Garcia picture and said something about Ryan the racist, more people would watch this. That's for other people. People go towards the negative, and people are going to complain about Shakur. They just are. They would have complained no matter what. They weren't asleep. Some pause the videos. See, that's what I thought, Jay. He wasn't sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. What was petty? What was petty? Alex Robinson. I must be the only one that likes Shakur. I liked it too. I guess for him, I hope that it would be better. I'm biased. I'm from Jersey, so Jersey fighters I root for extra hard, and I'm in their corner. So I thought he was dominant. It was not a thrilling performance, but it was dominant. Should have known it was video editor sorcery. Yeah, I didn't think that was right because I saw that on social media, and people were putting that up on their pages and saying Shakur's so boring that Bud's going to sleep. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm sorry, but if you don't have the courage to be a fighter, you shouldn't be criticizing any of them besides Ryan Garcia. Yeah. You know what? It's okay to be critical if you come from a logical point of view, but that doesn't happen most of the time in boxing. Alex Robinson, Shakur will get his credit only against top tier fighters. Then people will respect what he does. That's how it is. He can keep beating these second tier fighters that's what he was fighting. That's who he was fighting. He's got to fight the great fighters to get the recognition. It's the only way. Gotti had real problems in his life because of the type of fights he had. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I mean, you look at the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Ali, when he was young, he never got hit. He never got hit when he was young, and then he had to take the 3 years off, and he slowed down. And in the best and the worst thing that Muhammad Ali discovered was that he had a chin, that he had a real chin, because he knew he could take punishment. And if you read about Ali, the amount of punishment he received in the gym, and in the fights, the rope-a-dope, it does something to you, this sport. And I've been around fighters for over 20 years. So, and I've been in the ring, and I've been punched. I was not a fighter. I was not a professional fighter, but I've been around the fighters. So it's just tough to they take punishment, and it changes a lot of them. It just does. It just does. I don't mean to make this a downer, but Jay Rich, that was Keyshawn's best fight. He looked like he's gotten so much better since the last couple of performances. I was definitely impressed because, again, Madueño was doing everything he could to rattle him and make him complain and take him out of his mindset, out of his game plan, and he didn't. I thought Keyshawn, I thought he looked sensational. I don't think many people complain because that was a domination. He dropped him. He won the belt, but there are some people who are going to complain about every fighter, and Shakur is one of them. Matthew says it's entertainment in the sense that it entertains people. A fighter is not an entertainer; he's a fighter. A lot of people think differently. He got a knockdown on Valdez. Yeah, he dominated that fight. Well, we'll see. We'll see. You would hope that these fights are going to happen. Time will tell. Mr. Big Play Bray by moving Mason to the real card to top rank show Shakur they have a plan in place if he doesn't sign with them. They always have a plan in place. They always do. They always do. Zepeda called out Dennis Berinchyk after his win. That's the easiest way to a belt. I think no disrespect to Berinchyk, but if he's going to get a belt, that's the easiest fight to take at 135. It just is. SB got beats. Yoshino was his last good look and stoppage. Yeah, very true. Matthew, people give Mike Tyson credit when anytime he hit he had adverse, he quit. But somehow Stevenson isn't good, but he's right in the middle. I can't fault that. Can't fault that. The Keggy, even as a defensive fighter, you can still excite people by slipping punches. My favorite thing about Mike Tyson wasn't even KOs, but the way he dodged and slipped punches against James Tillis. That's the early Mike Tyson, the young Mike Tyson who didn't get hit much. Chris Algieri always says, and this is what Chris Algieri said for months, that Subriel Matias was not a pound for pound fighter. He said he's got no defense. You look at the pound for pound fighters, they all have some defense. And Mike Tyson, when he was young, he had defense. He would slip shots. He did not get hit. It's after he dropped Kevin Rooney and those guys, he just became a seek and destroy fighter who just came in and bombed you. You bombed him, but he was more likely he was going to get you out of there. But he didn't get hit. He didn't get hit. You're right, Keggy. He didn't get hit. Yeah, I agree. He's not, he does his job. I mean, I think he's a great fighter. But pleasing the crowd, he doesn't often do it. George, the majority of fans are terrible. Well, I don't know. It is what it is. Now that everyone's got a show on YouTube and that there's social media, people can just spout off, and that's what people do. That's what people do. SP got beats. I think Mason might get a shot after like 2. Well, I don't know, man. He's only got 14 fights, and he hasn't fought a lot of guys yet. Guys like Madueño, he hasn't fought those people yet. But look, he's got all the. We haven't seen him have to go through any adversity. So that's the thing that I love to see when a fighter goes through adversity. Doesn't have to get dropped, but Keyshawn Davis went through adversity and he passed the test. He went through adversity. So, he could have gotten out of his game plan and complained and whined and lost some rounds, but he didn't. He didn't. Man, Matthew, you are on fire. The simple fact of the matter is the fans that love these brutal fights have no understanding of what it takes out of the fighter. Well, that's my point. That's my point. Abdullah Mason getting a lot of love. I was most impressed with Abdullah Mason and Keyshawn this weekend. The dude that Keyshawn fought was no pushover. No doubt. Madueño is a good fighter, man. He's a good fighter. A good fighter. Arnaldo, Matthew, did you see Shakur going for the KO? Zepeda showed his killer instinct to finish Cabrera. Compare those two fights before writing stupid comments. So, well, look, I mean, you guys don't have to go to war. Zepeda, there were two different fighters that they fought, and Zepeda just has a different style. He just has a different style than Shakur. I don't think he's the better fighter, but if you're looking for just something sensational, you're probably going to get it from Zepeda. He's got that kind of style. Zepeda won't beat Shakur, I don't think, but I want to see them fight. I want to see them fight. Again, Shakur, tell me who you want to see Shakur fight. My top three is Tank, Loma, Zepeda. Those are the top three guys that I want to see him fight. That's it. I mean, I don't want to see him fight anybody else. I don't want to see him fight anybody else. And I'm sure those are the guys he wants to fight as well. Murataya, yeah, but I don't want to see. I mean, I agree. I agree. But I would love to see Tank or Loma or Zepeda. Because again, Zepeda is ranked number one in all the organizations, and that does not happen. That does not happen often. And you're right about this, James. At the end of the day, the fans make or break you. They're the ones buying the tickets, pay-per-views, merchandise, etc. It's very true. It's very true. Keyshawn wants Tio. You think he can beat him? Moving up to 140? Right now, no. If they fought now, I think Lopez would beat Keyshawn. But Lopez is a funny cat, man. He's another one that hasn't looked sensational. Up and down. He's a tough guy to figure out in the ring. There's no doubting his talent, but I don't think right now. I don't think Keyshawn is ready, and that's not a knock. I don't think Keyshawn Davis is ready for Teofimo Lopez. My brother, Dr. Boxing Talk. What's up, my friend? So I did an interview with Doc, and he's put some clips up. Make sure you go check out his site. And he said, yeah, I said some kind of outlandish thing. Not really outlandish, but well, go check his site out. Doc is a good dude. Doc knows his boxing. Doc's an engineer. This guy is just a smart person. There's a huge difference between a fan that appreciates the sport of boxing and a fan that wants violence. But listen, Matt, a lot of the fans want violence, especially the casuals. I mean, we can criticize them all they want, but they're fans and they're paying, and that's what they want. So I just come at it from a different perspective, and I think a lot of people do too. A lot of people do too. I think Medueno's chin was granite marble mixed with titanium. Yeah. Well, that exactly. You're right there, and that's why I don't. I just don't do it. I don't do it. Doctor in the house, Skywalker. What's up, my man? Man, we got to talk some boxing soon. It's been a while. It has been a while. Matthew, it's okay to be critical with someone if it's for the betterment of that person. But look, man, in sports, period, that's just not how it is. Stephen A. Smith, all these guys, they yell and they scream and they get ratings for it. So it is what it is. SP got beats. How long are they going to keep Zepeda in the number one spot with no title shot? It's crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy. He should get a shot. I mean, there's 4 titles out there. There's 4 belts out there. So I believe there's 4. You got Tank. You got Baranchek. You got, Loma and Shakur. So you would figure he's going to get a title shot. And I would love to see Tank. I'm sorry. I would love to see Shakur. I'd like to see Zepeda fight I'd like to see Zepeda fight any of the champions. Any of the champions. But it's boxing. I don't know. He should have a shot, and David Benavidez should have a shot at Canelo. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Party Time. There's a new name. Make sure you subscribe. Can't lie. Keyshawn looked great. All he needs is a bit more power. Yeah. I really thought Keyshawn looked good, but what I talked about at the beginning was Oshaki Foster. And I named 2 names, Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace, who scored that fight for Conceição. Does anyone think Conceição won that fight? I'm just curious because I watched it and I didn't think, I thought he won 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds. And of course, Bob Arum is saying, oh no, my guys say that wasn't the case. Bob Arum wasn't there. I don't even know if he watched the fight. But I thought it was robbery. I thought it happens too often in boxing. Javier Camacho was a judge from Mexico who had Bam Rodriguez losing his fight against Estrada. He's another one that should be looked at. But judges can do what they want. Nothing happens to them. They keep getting fights. Paul Wallace has had over 700 fights. Tony Lundy has had almost 700 fights that he's judged. And it's nonsense. I don't know anyone who thinks that Conceição won that fight. It was pitiful. It's a pitiful sport, pitiful side of boxing. That interview with you and Doctor was fire. I appreciate that. Yeah. You know what? I saw highlights. Carmel looked good. Man, what's he? 16, 17? Man. Yeah. I really enjoyed the interview. I didn't think not outlandish, but no, not outlandish. But I like how you're cutting it up. It was dope. The problem because he goes online and he's so hostile to everyone that's just giving their opinion. He talks like he's so sure he's going to beat Tank or that he's the greatest. All fighters, Sargon, appreciate you. All fighters are confident, but man, he had Twitterson on his trunks and he had a track runner logo on his trunk. So he's got a good sense of humor about it. SWNUP, it was a damn near shutout, and it was. But I knew, like, when the fight ended, I was like, this guy won every round. I thought he won every round. He didn't, I think, on one of the cards. But you knew people couldn't wait. People couldn't wait to rip him apart. But that's what people do. That's what people do. I thought he dominated the fight. And I think he's one of the best fighters in the sport. So Alex Robinson Foster got robbed. Aggression has to be effective. You can't just walk forward. Yeah. Jay Rich, you did say, you said Conceição would win, and you're even saying he didn't. It's a shame. It's sad. Foster literally had tears in his eyes, and you feel for the guy because he defended his title and he won, and he should be moving on to the next fight. And he got robbed. So again, I don't know if they have a rematch clause. I hope so. I hope they do. Foster was definitely better rolling the shoulder all night. Probably the best I've seen someone do it. That's it. Why can't boxing get it right? And I'm glad he's got phenomenal skills. In his last couple fights, he's been the cardiac kid, having to get last round knockouts or knockdowns to win fights. And I just thought he was better than that. And he put it together. And I thought he was dominant. Look, he didn't knock the guy out. He didn't drop the guy, but you got a 3-minute round. You want to win as many rounds as you can in a 12-round fight. Okay? He won 9, 10 rounds of that fight. And he got robbed by Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace. You'll never hear interviews with Tony Lundy or Paul Wallace because boxing doesn't do that. They don't let you talk to the ref. They don't let you talk to the judges. There's no accountability. And it won't change. Alex, George, what do you think about the ESPN broadcast? Them cutting away before the end of each round was wild. Yeah, I hate that. But at ESPN, Tim Bradley is a big believer in Shakur. He's a big believer in him, and he was all night. What I didn't like, look, ESPN and Top Rank are one and the same. They're one and the same. So what I didn't like is them showing shots of people leaving before the fight was over because it was just to knock Shakur. And why they do that? Because they know that Shakur is not resigning with Top Rank. Guarantee you, if he had signed an extension, they would not have shown those shots. That's how it is. So be it. Yeah, they can protest. Is there any way to turn over a bad decision? But they won't. They won't do it. The only justice he can get is in a rematch and not have Tony Lundy or Paul Wallace as judges. I've read a lot about the fight, and from people I respect, I haven't heard one person say that they thought Conceição won the fight. I've heard Bob Adams say, they said 7-5 either way. That's what my guys told me. I haven't heard anybody say Conceição won the fight. Anybody. So Yes, Top Rank was very fat for showing those shots of people leaving. Yeah, but it is what it is, man. That's look. Shakur's not their fighter, and this was the last fight. They did no shoulder programming, no shows. Blood, Sweat, and Tears is a great show that I've done a lot of those with ESPN. They didn't do it for this fight. Not a big enough fight. They didn't want to spend the money. They didn't want to spend money on a fighter that was probably going to leave them. Now he hasn't left yet. I think he will, but he hasn't left yet. James S says, "Yeah, if anybody thinks that dude want to fight, let me know. I got some beachfront property in Phoenix. I'll sell it to them real cheap." It's just sad because people can complain and all the people people want to talk about Ryan Garcia and Tyson Fury, and he's at a bar drunk. But talk about a guy like Shakur Foster who won a belt and got robbed like he did. Talk about that. Tim Bradley was disgusted. He was disgusted at the judges. ESPN was disgusted at the judges. But there's no recourse. The only recourse is that Foster gets a rematch and takes care of business in the ring. But if you don't knock people out, anything can happen. And it is a part about boxing that sucks. Lamont Roach was at the fight and the ESPN broadcast didn't say a word. Well, yeah, that's how it is. That's just it's a very nasty sport. The business is nasty, and the fans are nasty, and you know Ryan Garcia is still making headlines. The dude was at his brother's fight. His brother got knocked out. Of course, he got knocked out by Vargas. Everybody knew Vargas was going to knock him out, and he said he skipped going to rehab so he could be at the fight. He's not going to rehab. He's just saying things to appease people. And I try not to talk about that. Party time. Boxing's a cold sport. Even though he won, everybody treated Shakur like he lost a fight. Yeah, but he doesn't seem to let that stuff affect him. And I give him credit. He turned down a 5-fight, $15 million contract, and he said that was serious money. But he thinks he's worth more. So more power to him. You can't fault him for that. Floyd Mayweather once talked about I think when he was trying to resign with HBO, it might have been when he left, he called money he was getting slave wages, which was probably not the best thing to say. Shakur said that it was good money, but he believes in himself. He believes in himself. James S., all that millions of dollars he made at a very young age. Yeah. Look, it was a party time. Let's see. All Shakur needs is a worthy opponent to bring that dog out of him. If he got tapped and rocked a few times, he's going to get busy. I think so too. There's three guys out there, and take your pick. My top three: Tank, Loma, and Zepeda. That's the hit list. Those are the fights I want to see Shakur in. Those are the guys I want to see him face. He's got to find a promoter, and then you got to play the game of which fighters do I have? Do we do business with other promoters? We'll see. I knew as soon as that fight was over that people were gonna rip into Shakur because he didn't win by knockout, because he didn't drop the guy 3 times. So it is what it is. But guess what? Shakur Stevenson is one of the best fighters in the game. Shakur Stevenson out of Newark, New Jersey, is one of the best, most talented fighters in boxing. Now he has to prove it against the best. If he fights these guys and loses, depending on how he loses, because you can show greatness in a loss. You can show greatness in a loss. Let's see. Zepeda might be the guy. I want to see him in the ring with Frank Martin. I don't want to see him in the ring with Frank Martin. Why would he fight Frank Martin? This guy, Zepeda's number 1 by all 4 organizations, all the bogus organizations. No, I don't want to see him fight a guy who just got knocked out. He's number one. That means he is the number one contender. That means he should be getting a shot next at one of those four guys. That's what that means. That's what that means. I don't want to see him fight. And no offense, I don't want to see him fight Frank Martin. Frank Martin just got knocked out. What would the point of that be? Zepeda, he's number one. Let him get a title shot. I want to see if this guy's the truth. I really do. I really do. So we'll see. Coming up on an hour. So I wanted to get okay, Martin versus Key. That's an interesting fight. Now that is an interesting fight because Keyshawn's not ranked number one. So that's an interesting fight. We'll see if it gets made. But Tim Bradley, who, if you watch the telecast all night, he's always been high on Shakur Stevenson. And Fight Hype caught up to him after the fight, and this is what he had to say.
But if he catches him, bro, it could be it. You know what I mean? Because he's been one of the best finishers in the game. So, but Shakur's gonna make sure that don't happen. That's the concentration that he has. Tank, they got that timing. He got every punch in the arsenal. I mean, it's gonna be a difficult fight for Shakur, but I still think Shakur can get him. Right? I don't care. His performance was a performance tonight. It is what it is. He did what he had to do. He did. You know what I'm saying? It made him look like a rookie in my head. So, yeah. He just walked dude down, doing whatever he wants. Hey, he was this close to him. He got him right. I mean, who can do that? Who can do that now? No, I wanted to. No. For market value, entertainment value, of course you want him to stop everything. That's what people like to see. I just thought he could have did that. He could have, but again, he missed his opportunity. It was a window right there. I'm saying it so that 6'7", he had it right there, and then he didn't turn it up. His grandfather was telling him, "Man, turn it up." He was just like, "Damn, hey, this motherfucker still got some power." Like, chill out. However, if he would have turned it up then, he probably could have got to stop it. But he got to start cutting off the ring a lot better. He got to start putting combinations together. And Shakur defensive line, he don't want to take no punches. So he gonna get his stuff off and then make sure that he takes care of defense after. So he'll put two punches together, and that's it. He won't put them in threes and fours and kind of change up. So that's something that he can go back and work on his range, man. Yeah, something he can work on, bro. He go back and work on that, and I think he'll be good.
So there you go. He's telling you how he thinks a fight with Tank would go, and that's Tim Bradley. That's Hall of Famer Tim Bradley talking about that fight. Oh, Levi, man, if only there was a perfect world in boxing. We don't even have a semi-perfect world. In a perfect world, we get Tank Loma and Shakur Zepeda and the winners fight first thing next year. Now that would be a beautiful doubleheader. I'm with you, Levi. I would love that. SWNUP, George, how does it normally work? Is it better for top-ranked fighters to fight top-rank or PBC fighters fight PBC? What is generally the best for the promoters? Unfortunately, you hit it on the head. Promoters do what's best for the promoters. Oftentimes, not always, but historically, promoters have done what's best for promoters, not fighters and not boxing. If they can keep it all in house, they'll keep it all in house because guess what? If I've got two fighters, they're underneath me. If they're under G-Jack Promotions, and I've got the champ and I've got the guy who's fighting, doesn't matter who wins. I've got both fighters, so you keep it in house. That's the problem. How it normally works it sucks because oftentimes the best fights aren't being made. Now it's happening more. Saudi Arabia is involved, and even without Saudi Arabia, boxing is making some compelling fights. It just isn't happening enough. It just isn't happening enough. I came up in a different era where everybody fought everyone. They just did. That's how it was. That's how they made money. A loss didn't matter. Sugar Ray Leonard had a loss. Hagler had a loss. Hearns had losses. Duran had losses. And they're remembered as some of the greatest fighters of all time. So, yeah, unfortunately, what is generally best for promoters is keeping everything in house, and they keep all the money, and they don't have to take any risks. So, I'm about to wrap this up. Monday, July 8th. Isn't it crazy that it's July 8th? Oh, let me see. I got Tank beat Shakur. Tank is a dog in the ring. Okay, and I don't hate that. I think that Shakur would beat Tank. Let him fight. Let him sign. Let him sign so then we can have real debates. But you know what? You can have all the debates you want. Doesn't matter. Once they get in the ring, what's going to happen is going to happen. Party time. Oh, man, with the $9.99. Good-ish, George. You're right. Is Shakur all the hype or just getting hyped up? Well, I appreciate you, Party Time. I think that Shakur is one of the best fighters in the sport. Shakur is not one of the most exciting fighters in the sport. Oftentimes, the most exciting fighters in the sport are not the best fighters in the sport. Arturo Gatti was probably the most exciting guy in the sport. Wasn't the best fighter in the sport. No knock on him. No knock on him. But I appreciate you, Party Time. James S. This week in Palm Resorts, Top Rank Boxing tickets around $60. Not bad at all. I'll be there. Yeah, we got boots. We got boots. We got boots. Finally in the ring. Shakur's a great fighter. Yes, I believe he is a great fighter. Damn, thanks for the live, George. Congrats on 8K subs. I appreciate you. I'm trying to get to 10, man. I've been at 8 for a while. Trying to get to 10. I need to do more lives because it's all about the hustle. You're not out there, people aren't going to watch. So I appreciate everybody being here. Thanks, George. Great live. Party time. Yes, yes. All right, James. I picture the fight almost like Mayweather Canelo, just some absolute clinic, embarrassing the guy. Because I feel Shakur's that ability, but for some reason not pushing the envelope. Yes. And James, I don't know if you were around when I said this earlier. And I'll hold that thought. Party time. Glad I found your channel. I was watching you on Pro Box. Well, I appreciate you. I haven't been there in a while. So I appreciate you, Party time. I appreciate you. Pushing the envelope. Somebody, a friend of mine, I don't have my phone with me, but a friend of mine said fighters today, they all want to be like Money Mayweather without going through the pretty boy Floyd stage. And it was whoever said it. It was brilliant. And I'm not saying it's true, but pretty boy Floyd was a beast in the ring. And he was, for the most part, taking guys apart. Even though I thought he lost to Jose Luis Castillo. I thought he lost that first fight. I do. But he got the decision. He was taking dudes apart when he was pretty boy. He was a sight to behold. And Money was different. He was a different fighter. And now a lot of fighters, they want to get that Money Mayweather money. But Money Mayweather went through that stage where he was pretty boy Floyd. Look back at some of those fights. So, look, it is what it is. But Party time, I appreciate you, man. Keep watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I appreciate the super chat. Appreciate everybody for being in here. Look, don't forget the names: Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace, who both had a hand in robbing O'Shaquie Foster of his belt. They robbed him. Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. They cost this guy money because now he doesn't have a belt, so he won't get as much money in his next fight. They took something that he earned. Remember how he earned that title. Remember the last round knockouts and the last round knockdowns to win belt, to win his fights. And then you have Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace take that away because of what? I don't know. Because we'll never talk to them. We'll never find out why it happened. But guess what? It happened. They robbed O'Shaquie Foster. Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace robbed him. And I feel bad for the dude. I hope that he has a rematch clause, and I hope he makes it right in the rematch. Just don't have Tony Lundy or Paul Wallace there. All right, brother. Every live, well, I appreciate you being there, Dan Moretti. Man, you don't have to thank me. I love talking boxing, and I love that people do these shows. The very first live I did, I had nobody. I was talking for half an hour, had nobody watching. So I appreciate this. Hit the like button on the way out. Absolutely. I didn't even get this is my bad. I didn't even get the link in there, but I'm at an hour. I like to stay at an hour. I don't want to overstay my welcome. Oh, my man, Boxing Analyst. Go. If you haven't gone to Boxing Analyst page on YouTube, you need to check him out because this man knows the sport. I heard Nate Diaz wants to fight a highly ranked boxer. He's 175. He's got unlimited cardio and an iron chin. Both are 40 years old. Put him in the ring with Beterbiev. I want to see something. Really? I don't. No disrespect, but Beterbiev would hurt Diaz. That's just what I think. I didn't watch any of that. I think that's where Garcia's little brother got knocked out by Vargas. Yeah, he got knocked out. He got knocked out by Amado Vargas. So whatever. But I hear you, analyst. I just don't want to see Nate Diaz fight real boxing fighters, I should say. I just don't want to see it. Party time. Someone made a comment stating that the former boxers should become judges. I think Tim Bradley might have said that too. I don't know, man. I don't know if that. I think they just need to find competent people. They need to find competent people. And I don't know if it's the training. I don't know what it is. But they just need better people. And when you have judges that give scorecards like Tony Lundy and Paul Wallace did, something needs to happen. Something needs to happen. Yes, they do need a clear criteria. And Tim Bradley, I've spoken with Tim Bradley. And he's been to clinics, judging clinics, and they talk about how they score fights. But I don't know if judges listen to what they say at these clinics. They need something. They need something. I don't know what it is, but Paul Wallace and Tony Lundy, you guys robbed O'Shaquie Foster, robbed him of his title. You two should be ashamed. Something should happen, a suspension. They should have to forfeit their money for that fight. I mean, I know none of these things are going to happen, and it'll go away because boxing sweeps it under the rug, and you don't hear about this again. And don't forget Javier Camacho out of Mexico. He had Bam Rodriguez losing the fight with Estrada, 57-56. He had Estrada beating Bam Rodriguez after 6 rounds. So, it is what it is. But listen, I appreciate everybody in here. Party time. Glad you made it to the party. Make sure you check out. Yeah, party. I mean, that's an old thing. Boxing used to be rampant with this stuff. I don't know what it is. Do they just have inept people as judges? I don't know because you start throwing around payouts and gambling. You have to have proof, obviously. So I wouldn't say that. I'll just say they're inept. They are inept at their jobs, and usually when you're inept at your job, you get replaced, or you have to go through training to become better. And I don't know if Tony Lundy or Paul Wallace, I don't know if they're going to be called to do that. But listen, I appreciate everybody. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. You subscribe to One Round with George. There could be some beautiful things in your future like this. Subscribe to my YouTube page and you can win a once-in-a-lifetime, no expenses paid trip to check out the boxing memorabilia in my garage and in my home office. You can come hit the heavy bag and go through the hundreds of boxing magazines I have, and even take a picture with a life-size Oscar De La Hoya cardboard cutout that I took when I was at HBO. Subscribe now for your chance to win all of this. Make sure you like. Subscribe. You want to take a picture with that Oscar De La Hoya cutout. Make sure you subscribe. You get that chance. Talk soon.